The interrogators that I worked with at Abu Ghraib were all extremely frustrated by the lack of intelligence that they were getting during interrogations. And most of them attributed that to the fact that they had prisoners who didn't have intelligence to give them. The interrogators who were in my unit spent all year there, and they were telling me that they got nothing.
أنا ما أعرف ليش مسجون. جابوني بقوني 7 أشهر أنا وأولادي وما أعرف ليش مسجون. شنو التهمة مالتي؟ قالوا لي أنت تسوي متفجرات وتسوي عبوات ناسفة. وخلاص بعد ما أعرف. شنو اللي الدليل اللي والمستمسك اللي عليه؟ ماكو. مجرد وشاية أحد المواطنين قال لهم هالشكل.
In the summer of 2003, the insurgency grew at a very rapid rate. You had the bombing of the UN headquarters in August, the bombing of the Jordanian embassy, the bombing of the Turkish embassy, and then at the end of October, the attack on the Rashid Hotel, where most American workers in the Green Zone were housed. The American military had no idea who these people were. How do we fight an enemy we cannot see? The only way to do that is to interrogate enough people that we will get usable intelligence that will allow us to nip the insurgency in the bud. And I think there was a degree of panic about the lack of intelligence and the lack of knowledge about the insurgency.
Rumsfeld was openly irritated about it. And then we come to accounts in the summer of 2003 of an intelligence briefing that occurred at the Pentagon involving Rumsfeld, Cambone, a handful of other senior officers. And he's described as being openly angry, pounding his fist on the table, and asking in a taunting way, why is it that Guantanamo gets me good intel, just what I want, and I don't get this out of Iraq? I've had it with this. I want you to get Miller out to Iraq and Gitmoize the situation and do it fast.
And Miller, by all accounts, is a man who is, in a way, Rumsfeld's kind of officer, which is to say he doesn't care about past practice, he doesn't care about tradition necessarily. What he cares about is getting results. And he established a system in Guantanamo that was based entirely around getting information from these detainees, which is to say, using harsher interrogation techniques.
General Miller is sent to Iraq to help them get more actionable intelligence from these thousands of security detainees. And General Miller, without hesitation, said, look, it's my opinion you are treating the prisoners too well. They don't know who's in charge. And if you don't treat the prisoners like dogs, you have effectively lost control of the interrogation.
At the close of General Miller's visit, Lieutenant General Ricardo Sanchez, overall commander of U.S. forces for Iraq, issued a memorandum for extreme techniques, techniques that can be seen to be in violation of both U.S. and international law.
I believe they thought they were interpreting the Geneva Conventions and applying them. I don't think they thought, well, the Geneva Conventions don't apply. And so I think what they thought they were doing was following those standards and trying to create interrogation methods based on them.
There were so many changes in policies on what kind of stress positions you can use for how long and stuff of that nature. It was kind of confusing.
It was never clear to me what was allowed and what wasn't allowed in Iraq. No one ever could make anything clear to me. When the questions were asked, it was like, hey, I don't know. You know, just no one could answer questions for us.
All I remember is the first day I worked at the hard site, and that was October 18th, I believe, because I wrote a letter home. And all I knew was there was an interrogation going on, and there was a prisoner nicknamed Taxi Cab Driver who was handcuffed to a window backwards, naked, in one of the cells. And there was an interrogator there. I just left it alone. I wrote back home saying I didn't agree with it, and I went to work the next day.
What's going on with the nakedness? It's like, why are these people naked? You know, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. You know, naked prisoners with panties on their heads and in compromising positions, you know, locked up. So what's going on with that? I didn't understand that.
I got in there and there's this naked kid who's old enough to be my younger sibling, you know, just naked, just hiding his shame with his hand, trying to answer these questions. And no one raised any objection or any concern. It was just business, and our business by detainees was sometimes conducted naked.
نعم غالبا أول 4 أو 5 أيام يبقى المعتقل عاري تماما.
بقيت 25 يوم مصلخ بس باللباس بالمحجر بدون أي لا فلاش ولا بطانية ولا تشرشف ولا كل شيء ولا تكرم حتى نعال يعني ما عندي.
هو المحققين يأمرون اللي مثلا احنا نحس من يعرضونا للتعذيب أنه عندك ثاني يوم تحقيق، يعني كأنه يهيئونك للتحقيق. هو بالحقيقة احنا نظن أنه اللي يأمر بالتعذيب هو نفس المحقق.
We know that after General Miller's visit to Abu Ghraib prison and to Iraq in August-September 2003, that the MPs were removed from the control of General Janis Karpinski, who was the commander of military police for Iraq, and placed under the control of military intelligence. The MPs were then no longer part of, if you will, the kind of incarceration staff. They were moved to be a part of the interrogation staff. So the MPs had the job of softening up, creating the conditions for effective interrogation by the military interrogators.
What happened when we got to Abu Ghraib is military intelligence was placed in charge of us. MI and OGA, who is CIA, and all these other corporations, these civilian contractors that didn't answer to anyone like us, would come in and tell our MPs, this guy needs to have a bad night. What kind of bad night? Use your imagination. You can do this, stress positions, loud music, do whatever you want to do to them. Just make sure they don't sleep. We need that information.
The MI people, the specific handlers, would have me give whichever detainee lots of showers during the day. Like, they would say, this guy's really dirty. We want you to give him lots of showers. We want you to stand in there and point and laugh at him. And, you know, just be there while so he's definitely aware that I'm standing there while he's fully nude.
Like, hey, Sergeant Davis, take these numbers down. Prisoner number 111777 or something like that. He needs to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Go to bed at 4:30. Be up at, 5:15. Go to bed at 7 o'clock. This prisoner number, blah, blah, blah. Do this, do that. Take the radio and put the megaphone up to it and keep them up all night long. Bang the garbage can, slam the doors. If they go to sleep, throw water on them like that. Keep them awake. Make sure their life is hell tonight.
It's far more difficult to cure the victims of psychological torture than it is to cure those who suffered physical torture. If we call psychological torture in this country torture light, okay, it's not torture light. It's the most damaging, the most destructive.